and the latest drama in Brooklyn. Steve Nash and Kevin Durant met with the media for the first time since the Kyrie Irving news was announced Tuesday. The news that Kyrie will not be allowed to play if he doesn't get the COVID vaccine. Nash was asked before the game last night what he made of Kyrie's Instagram Live amid all of this. And KD was asked after. Here's what they had to say.
Late last night, Kyrie went to social media and had a long monologue explaining, I guess, his point of view and his hesitancy and his reasoning, or at least parts of his reasoning. I was curious, were you apprised of what he was saying? And did that kind of jibe with everything that he had told you? Or did you find any of it surprising and startling?
To be honest, I didn't listen to it. You know, I think I've pretty much said everything I have to say about it. I mean, if something changes, we can talk about it. But, you know, I really want to focus on moving forward and our group and solutions to the challenge ahead of us.
Have you spoken to Kyrie since Tuesday's news?
No, I haven't. What is being mad going to do? We're not going to change his mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, we'll let him figure out what he needs to do and the team figure out, you know, what they need to do. And us as players, when we're in the locker room, we're on the floor, we're going to work with each other. So, you know, life is amazing. So I can't be too mad at somebody making a decision for themselves. You know, that's who am I to get upset at that, you know? So just focus on what we got in this locker room. And when Kai's ready, I'm sure he'll talk to Joe and Sean and they'll figure that out and they'll tell us. So until then, we're going to keep grinding.
Nick, what do you make of the Nets' reaction to all of this?
All right, so I had two major takeaways. One that I think everyone had and one that probably was not, you know, in the mainstream. The first one was it is incredibly revealing that Harden and Durant have not spoken to Kyrie and that Nash didn't even watch the IG Live. I mean, I don't expect Steve Nash to be up late at night like, oh, is Kyrie going on IG Live? But he could have done what a lot of people did, which is the next day watch it, and he didn't. That, I think, speaks for itself. Kyrie is getting a lot of support from a lot of circles, some in the political world, some in the basketball world. Our buddy J.R. Smith tweeted out support for him. There are folks out there supporting him. The fact that neither Harden nor KD have spoken to him, and the fact that neither one of them nor Nash tried to make the case for him. Like, listen, Kyrie is fighting for something bigger than him. We have to respect it. To me, that was very fascinating, like, and telling. The other thing was, and I recommend everyone watch the full Kevin Durant press conference because he's in a great mood. And when KD's in a great mood, you can tell. He was so gracious with the media. He went out of his way to say, listen, I know you guys are going to be asking me about this all year. Probably not every day, but all year. You got a job to do. KD, when KD's happy, he's so fascinating and so interesting and so honest. Broussard, I find it really interesting, and I'm not trying to psychoanalyze KD. I know he hates when people do that, but it's just my take. I find it really interesting that KD seems happy right now. That KD was at peace, at ease, gracious with the media, in a spot where you would think he wouldn't be happy. But it's telling to me that KD seemed to be in a good mood. It's telling to me that KD was answering those questions. And it's very telling that nobody has spoken to Kyrie.
Well, I think the question about I think Harden, and I don't think he and Kyrie are as close as KD and Kyrie. I think they have probably a basketball relationship. You know, like the summer they played together before Harden went there. They got to know each other. You know, I may be wrong, but I think that's that. So that may not be that surprising. KD, yes, surprising that he hasn't spoken with Kyrie, but I would have wanted a follow-up question. Did you try to reach out to Kyrie? Because it's possible that Kyrie may not be returning KD's calls or texts. It could be on the other side, right? It may not be KD is frustrated and exasperated with Kyrie. I mean, he may be that for sure. He has a right to be, as far as in a basketball sense. But it might be that Kyrie is not responding to his teammates, and it could be the case with Harden as well, for all we know. So I think there's that. But overall, I love the Nets' response. And I really hope that Kyrie remains friends with KD and Harden and his teammates, for sure. This is, friendship is beyond this. But the Nets have got to take the attitude that Kyrie is no longer part of the team. And that's even beyond the guy that's injured for the season. Because a guy that has a season-ending injury is at games in most cases, right? He's on the bench. He's cheering with his team.
Yep.
Kyrie's not even going to be that. They have to take the attitude that he's not on the roster, and that might sound harsh, and I don't mean it to be, but for them to have the right mentality to win a championship, they can't have Kyrie in the back of their minds. There can't be any, he might end up coming back in a few months. Or we might have Kyrie for the playoffs. Or if they go on a losing streak on the road, maybe we should go get Kyrie. We need the 1 seed. Let's get Kyrie so we win more on the road. None of that. Kyrie has got to be out, like not even a thought in their mind as far as basketball. And I think what I saw, I love what Nash said. And then the other guys, I don't know all the ins and outs. Did they reach out and Kyrie not respond? Whatever the case, they have to have the attitude he's not here. And here's the last thing about Nash, Wilds. Nash has probably heard it all from Kyrie. Kyrie probably said what he said in that IG, Nash probably heard face to face. And I bet you it was just as convoluted face to face. So Nash was like, no, I'm not going to listen to it. I mean, I've heard it, and it was kind of, didn't understand it. So.
But here's the thing, and this is why I think the Nets are in a good spot, Broussard. The Kyrie's interview, or his monologue, was 24 minutes and 55 seconds. So I watched it all. I put it on double speed, which gets it down to 12 minutes and 30 seconds. So what Steve Nash said was, you know what? I don't have 12 minutes and 30 seconds of my day that I want to dedicate to hearing Kyrie talk about why he's not on the team. He has moved on, and Kyrie is way in the rearview mirror. Same with Durant, same with Harden. And here's the other thing. It's the right move, Nick. When Kyrie they decided he wasn't on the team, what happened in Vegas? You're our local Vegas statistician. What happened? Did the Nets favorite title status plummet? Oh, goodness gracious. No, it didn't move, did it? So Kyrie on the team, not on the team, it doesn't matter. The only thing that can happen right now is that the Nets' chemistry can be hurt by even talking about Kyrie. So they've put him way in the rearview mirror. They're focused on winning the championship, which they're still the favorites to be.
So to be clear, they were the favorites before the Kyrie stuff. They're the favorites now. The odds did move a little bit. They are not as substantial.
Sorry, see, that's why you're
the expert. But your overall point stands, Wilds, which is they were the favorites. They are still the favorites. Their place in the Vegas standings, if you will, remained. But I want to dig in just for a moment, and I'll throw this back to you, Wilds, about KD and Kyrie not talking to each other. Tell me if I'm missing something here, because there's only 3 possible options. Option 1, KD called, Kyrie didn't answer. Option 2, Kyrie called, KD didn't answer. Option 3, neither called the other person at all. Aren't those all terrible? Aren't all of those options? Like, it'd be one thing if Kyrie was so upset about, and I think we've all been in a place like this, where something happens in our life that is so jarring that we're not talking to anybody. I know I've been like that, where I'm not answering my phone, I'm not returning texts. But smack dab in the middle of that, I didn't do a 25-minute IG live with all my stands so they can put up the fire emojis at my nonsense. So if something happened with me, Wilds, and you reached out and I didn't answer, you might understand it. But then if all of a sudden you see me live streaming, you'd be like, oh, I guess Nick and I aren't as cool as I thought we were. The point about Harden is fine, which is that we don't know that relationship. KD and Kyrie are, I don't know, incredibly close. It is wild to me that they haven't spoken. And I don't know which of the three options is most likely Wildes, and I don't know which of the three options is the best option. That Kyrie won't answer, that KD won't answer, or that no one has called anybody.
Okay, well, so stay here for
That's
a second.
good point.
Because you reported that Kyrie was on the trading block and that his representation told people that he would retire. And right now, the main story is Kyrie not being available because of his vaccination status. Don't you think that there's some drama that predates all of this? That KD and Harden didn't throw their bodies in front of a trade, and that was the initial fissure in the relationship?
Absolutely. The fact that, and I think Kyrie maybe correctly believes, I think everyone on the show believes, that if KD and Harden had gone to Sean Marks and Steve Nash and said, you have to let him play road games, we'll deal with it, that he would be playing road games. So I think Kyrie, maybe justifiably, maybe not, is upset by that. I want to ask Broussard one other thing. Broussard, you've been in media for longer than me, but you also covered teams in locker rooms. When I was a local guy, I was in Kansas City, so I've never covered an NBA team on a day-to-day basis. Right. But I've covered enough sports, and I've been in enough locker rooms and been in enough press conferences to know this. Guys easily lie all the time. Here's why I say that. Is it not a little odd to you that KD and Harden didn't lie? Either say, no, we've spoken, or that's personal. I'm not going to get into personal.